What does it take to build a real estate empire that spans continents and still stay grounded in purpose, vision, and service? Today's guest went from navigating the complexities of construction and energy in Nigeria to leading multi-million-dollar real estate projects in the U.S. and beyond. If you've ever wondered how to scale across markets, fund big deals, or balance leadership with legacy, this conversation is going to shift the way you think about business. Femi Rogers isn't just building homes, he's building futures. Welcome back to another episode of the Pauline Chilton Show, where we dive deep into real estate, entrepreneurship, and the incredible stories behind the leaders shaping our communities and creating legacy. Today's guest is someone whose career spans nearly 3 decades of success, innovation, and impact in the real estate and business world. I'm honored to welcome Femi Rogers, a serial entrepreneur, real estate subject matter expert, and CEO of Roston Group, a leading real estate investment firm operating in both the United States and Nigeria. With over 29 years of experience across real estate, construction, retail, and energy, Femi brings a wealth of knowledge and insight to the table. He's a licensed real estate agent in Texas, a member of the Greater Houston Builders Association, and an accredited investor with a proven track record in multifamily and income-generating properties. But what sets Femi apart is his commitment to innovation, client satisfaction, and building with purpose. Whether he's leading his team in developing spec homes or advising on large-scale investments, Femi's vision is clear: create value, empower people, and leave a lasting legacy. Let's dive into this powerful conversation and hear from the man who's not only building homes, but building futures, Femi Rogers. Femi, you have nearly 30 years of experience across multiple industries: real estate, construction, retail, and energy, which is incredibly impressive. I'd love to zoom in on your work in the construction and energy sectors, particularly in Nigeria. Can you share what that experience has been like, how it shaped your entrepreneurial journey?
I started pretty young. Immediately, I graduated from the university. I started my first business, owning a furniture company. My wife always said I've done the end to end of construction because when I started the furniture company with a friend of mine, we were partners. They owned a furniture company, a family furniture company, but there was a high-end company. So they usually turn back some clients who wants to buy high-end furniture. So he came up with the idea of we starting something for the low end. And so sometimes it passes down clients to me. And so we started pretty fast and we grew very fast within 2 years. We're already making a lot of money. So after that, we went into subcontracting into a lot of builders and developers. I used to install kitchen cabinets. We went into wall and grills. We went into lightings, and so that's why I said my wife always said I've been to end of all, the construction industry. I've been a subcontractor. I went into construction. So I practically done everything. So it was a pretty fast journey. We grew fast because of the influence of their own company and that, we were kind of affiliated and we were just taking the lower end jobs. And so I had a busy time in my first 5 years, supplying a lot of developers, getting to know what the industry was. I worked with them in big development. So I kind of saw how the process and their structure was. And I learned from how to handle subcontractors based by working with all these real estate developers. While we were doing that, we started another company, which was called Sideways Furniture, because I used to go out of the country or out of Nigeria Nigeria is not, we don't have a lot of manufacturing going on. We are much of a oil and gas country. So most of what we produce is oil and gas. So I used to go to Italy and China to import building materials for some of the developers. So I decided to start a trading company as well. So that's where we started selling light fittings, and we started selling high-end kitchen cabinets and handrails. So I owned a trading company as well, apart from the furniture company. And then I really I like trading, because in trading, you make money faster. You don't have to manufacture. So all we had to do was just bring in this, put it in the warehouse, put them in the showroom, and get people to swear. So I started looking into oil and gas, which was the return on investment in oil and gas was much more big. And so I also partnered with another friend, and we started the oil and gas trading company, where we used to import some of we call it petrol in Nigeria. In the US, they call it gas, and then, supply it to the gas station. And that's how kind of I grew up to be an entrepreneur. Day one, when I finished university, so I'd always own one or two businesses all through.
Femi, what first got you interested in real estate?
My mom used to be a developer in some ways. She was a professional when watching the band, but she always used to develop properties by the side. So, and I was the youngest in the family. Most of my siblings were, at the time I was growing up, they were already out of the house. They were already in the, in the university. So I grew up practically with my mom alone in the house. And I used to, at some point, be the person to assist her when she goes to, to her side to see what the project was going on. So I worked with her. We kind of sit down together to make the design, the layout of the house. And I loved it. And I used to, I think I just got a flair for layouts, coming up with good layouts for houses. So I had that experience with her, and it was a great experience because I learned a lot of things that actually kicked up later in life, and so that's how I got into real estate. So real estate has always been part of me. And I was talking about when I was like 15, 16, 17, that's when I really started got involved in real estate with my mom. We used to also manage the builders together. And so, I mean, sometimes when I was going older, like 17, 18, I would go to the site alone and see what they've done. And, also tell them the vision of what we want the layout to be, and, work with them on that. So that's how I got into real estate.
That had to have been a wonderful experience working with your mom. Was there a moment or experience that really pulled you in? And how has that journey grown and changed since then?
There's a lot of experience I had. If you're talking about experience with my mom, I mean, she taught me a lot of things on how to actually put together funds to build a house. She used to tell me, you don't really need a lot of money to build a house. The impression a lot of people have is that when you want to build a house, you need a lot of funds, but you have to be creative in putting together funds. And she taught me that, on how you have to put together funds and how to actually use the little fund you have to grow whatever you wanted to do. So that's one of the things I learned from her as an entrepreneur, how to start a project with the little you have, how to use other people's resources. She was really very good with that. And she always tell me something as well, that you should always have a project going on. You should always have a construction. That's the way she saw it. Instead of her saving money, she wanted to put her money in a building construction. And what she said then was that when you have a project going on, you don't have loose funds. So you don't get to spend your money all around, because you always have to get that money into the project she was doing. So that was a kind of a saving for her. These were the kind of experience I had working with her. And later on in life, when I started buying my own lots, because what I did was, when I had my furniture company and my trading company, I started investing in lots. So when I had loose funds, I was buying lots. I wasn't building at first. I was just buying the lots. So I had almost about 50 lots at some point before I really started going into construction. And at that point, what I did was sold a few of them. I used it to start my first construction. So this was the kind of experience I have. the biggest thing about real estate is you don't have enough money to start real estate. You must be creative in getting funds to, in getting the money to build homes. And from where I come from, unlike the US, we rarely get funding from institutions like the get in the US. The banks don't really get to that those kind of loans. And when they loan you, the interest rate is very high. So you have to be very creative. So there are so many ways, that we put together to be able to get funds to build a property. And that's why the experience I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed having to structure partnership, having to work with people, having to come up with how it's going to be a win-win situation for everybody. And those are the things that shaped and eventually worked for me. Even when I moved into the US, it also helped me start it off because I already had the impression, I already know how to, kind of work with people and how to, make them also, they also have to get something to gain from the project.
Wow, that's so much valuable teaching that your mom has given you and such a gift. Femi, entrepreneurship is such a journey full of highs, lows, learning curves, and growth. Looking back over your career, can you walk us through some of the key challenges you faced early on and how those moments shaped your understanding of business and industry?
Yeah. So real estate is like a roller coaster. Today, you're happy with what's going on. Tomorrow, you feel, right, the world is about to go down. I learned to understand that, look, it's always a up and down in business generally. And you just have to understand that once you understand the cycle, that look, there's going to be good times and there's going to be bad times, then you understand that it's just part of the process and you don't really bother yourself and you're going to wait for the time. And I've learned a lot of things I've had from the lot of the challenges that I had. One of the first challenges I had when I started business, I really started young, pretty young, when I started my first like the furniture company straight out of university. I was like 23, 24, and I had an employee. I have never had employed anybody. So I had issues because I was young and some of them were twice my age. Even having to manage them was a problem. So I had to learn how to, manage people, how to talk with them, how to sell my vision, how to lead them. That took me a while. I had to feel a good turnover of, workers for a bit. But after a while, I got a hang of it. I knew how to manage my staff. I knew how to talk with them. I knew how to, even though I was younger at the initial, it was very difficult because from where I come from, young people, they always look down on young people and like, don't know what's your way. Still fresh out of school. You're trying to, but I got a hang of that. And, other challenges that came up later on was how do you raise money? How do you, one of the biggest things we have from where I come from is there is no real structure in how to, legal structure and how to manage business. Business wasn't run easily. So I was mostly a subcontractor to developers. And that means that I will finish the work and they're not going to pay. So you use your money to do jobs for them. And then you have people owing you for years. And they always promise you they have to pay. I remember I always wake up in the morning and I have a list of, clients I want to call that owes me. And I will stay on the phone first in the morning, spend like and I have calling everybody and asking them when do I get my balance for my job. This was very sad at that time. And it impeded a lot of the growth. But over time, you learn how to, do the job and get your money. All these things you learn as you go by. So by the time I got to the US, I was already a seasoned entrepreneur. I've already started about 4 or 5 businesses. And my intention was to start another one in the US. So, it kind of helped me that experience helped me to start fast. And, I knew what to do immediately when I hit the ground running. I was able to manage, I know how to structure, get funding. I know how to talk with the banks because I've done oil and gas. And it used to be you need a lot of capital to do oil and gas trading. So I walked into the bank, sold myself, talk with them, know how to, understand the language, talking with them and all that. And that helps a lot in my starting up new business.
I want to throw in a question about advice for the younger generations. You have been through the trenches. You have gone through the ups and downs of business, and you've learned a lot along the way. So, for the younger generations, for those who are moving up in their positions in their jobs, or for those who are looking to start businesses, what is your advice to them as far as how to conduct themselves and how to manage people? Like you said earlier, how to manage people that are older than them or may not really respect them because of their younger age. How can they develop themselves to be good leaders in the business world?
One thing I've found about leaders is you always have to prove yourself first. Okay, so when you get it, so imagine that you were made to go head a department right now, and there are people working under you. Until you prove yourself as a leader, they're not gonna follow or respect. So you would over time learn how to, they would over time learn to understand you. And the first thing is you have to give to them. You have to be there and you have to have enough knowledge to pass over it. One of the greatest things that help you as a leader is you have vast knowledge. So when you have a lot of you understand things more than most people, you're able to pass that and they follow somebody that know what he's doing. And it takes a while, it takes some time to do all that. What I see with a lot of young people nowadays is they want to grow fast and they are not seasoned. And that does not help in the structure of their business. It also does not help in them also managing other people. Business or entrepreneurship is like a journey. When you start it, you need to be patient to allow it to nurture it and grow it. I see a lot of younger generation wants to get into. I know the world is getting faster as we go, but they want to get into a business and make money in the first 6 months. And that's why a lot of people, when they start business, they don't have the patience to nurture it, and they kind of leave the business once they're not making money within the 6 months or a year. Business is you have to be patient, you have to nurture it, you have to grow it, and then it has to grow momentum. So it's going to be gradual. What you have to understand is momentum. It's going to come slowly, then grow faster. It's going to be a geometric progression. So patience, understanding that it takes time to grow a business is very important for the younger generation. They need to just take their time to learn and grow whatever they're trying to grow.
You're leading the Roston Group with projects happening in both the US and Nigeria, two very different markets. What's it really like juggling development and investment across continents? And how do you navigate the unique challenges and opportunities in each?
So having learned over time that you don't have to do everything yourself, the first thing you have to do in every business is structure, create a structure that allows you to, allow other people to work and do the job for you. So the first thing I've done both in Nigeria and here is to structure my business in a way where I am not the person doing everything. I am just the lead. I'm just the vision. I'm just the person leading every other person. So without me, for a long time, I could be away for a while and, people are doing their job and, so I have people that are well trained and seasoned, and that allows me to work, globally without even really being bit there. They've been trained. Plus, I also have a very large experience when it comes to real estate and construction. So if there are issues and you call me right on the phone there, I'm going to tell you what I think the solution is based on my experience. And it's most likely, so these guys call me when they have things they have issues with, and I give them the solution based on experience I've had over a long time. I've been through the whole spectrum of not just being an entrepreneur, but also being a developer. So like I said, I've installed kitchen cabinets, I've installed handrails, I did wrought iron, So I've been in charge of all of this. So I know a lot about everything. So, and that helps me without being there to be able to manage things in both countries. However, most of my life, I've been an operator. I've not been a marketer. What I did was being the man on the ground, taking care of the operations. Recently, I've been learning to be a marketer. I've been learning to, use social media because I know now that the heart of the business is sales. So I have to kind of change my orientation and get into sales, get myself out there, get myself seen, talk about my knowledge, sell whatever myself and sell my product. That's a new thing for me. And I do it globally. The world is so small now that on this podcast, there are people listening from everywhere in the world, and I can sell myself everywhere. The barriers are down. There are no more boundaries. Transactions are being done internationally. You can work, and you can also work from anywhere. You know, internet. I could be doing this from anywhere in the world, and I'm making sales. Transactions are easily done. The phones are, internet, everything. So globally, you can be anywhere working, depends on how you structure your business, and it's quite easy to work from one country to the other at the moment.
Your portfolio covers everything from spec homes to multifamily properties, which is impressive. How do you decide what to take on next? Are there any types of projects or trends you're especially excited about right now?
I love building spec homes. There's a reason why, in Nigeria, I used to do custom homes, which is, work with clients and build their own design, and they employ me to build their homes. But, when I got to the US, I went into spec home. Spec home allows you to, you know, so you already build the house, they're coming to buy it. So you're doing the same thing over and over again. So the turnover is faster. You have like 2 or 3 models and you build a small subdivision, and, there are houses you built like 3 or 4 times. Your subcontractors know what you want. They know how the space is. They know, so you kind of work faster around on custom homes. And so when I'm done with my businesses, I build 2 types of real estate investment. One is the spec home, which allows us, which is mostly sold because we want to gain capital income there. So what we want to do is on those spec homes, and my investors, we build them, we sell them, and we have capital gain. And that increases our capital as we go by. But on the other side, when we invest in multifamily, the intention is to have regular income and a long-term investment. So I have a couple of investors that work with me. It depends on what they are looking at. People want different types of investment based on where they are in life. Some people are looking at cash flow or retirement plan. Some people are looking at building capital. So I work with my investors together in those 2 different projects, which we, purposely identify to, in those 2 areas to say, okay, let's go into what you would want is cash flow. It would be a retirement plan. Let's go into multifamily, and we're going to list it out over 5 to 10 years and, make our money from there. Or let's do a project and, sell off in the next 2 years or 1 year.
You've got a deep understanding of both the US and Nigerian real estate markets. From your perspective, what are some of the biggest differences and what kinds of opportunities do you think people often overlook in each?
So I think there's a lot of similarities, but I'll go into the differences. One of the difference between Nigeria, where I come from, and the US is there are resources in the US for you to it. The US is really a great country. It gives you the opportunity to do whatever, get to wherever you want to get to. I know there are challenges, but it's less than some other countries. Now, I've met a lot of people here in the US that say, oh, the country is tough, they're not getting it. And I try to explain to them from where I come from, these opportunities are not available. In the US, you have resources like funding. We don't get funding in Nigeria where I come to. You have to be much more creative to put together funds. Here, people want to give you funds. Well, they know you know what you're doing. You get, institutional funding. There are also information. There is data. You can look at what the sales is going to be in the next 6 months. You can look at, there's so many things you can see that we don't have over there. All this enhances your growth. All this helps you. And that's why America is the greatest country in the world, where, you know, your dreams can be fulfilled. That's the biggest thing we have. However, in countries in Africa like Nigeria, there are opportunities because there's a lot of prospect there that is not yet tapped into. So this is gray land. This is, you know, there's vast opportunity. If you understand that terrain, the margins are much more higher. Of course, the risk might be higher, but the margins are much more higher. And you can really grow much more bigger than can get in the US because the competition are less also. That's the difference I see between the two. And that's why I kind of balance the two, and I'm still trying to, you know, work in between the two areas because I see they have two different opportunities. Here, you have a much more stable business environment. On the other side, the risk, but the returns will be higher.
I love that answer. You've built a reputation for being innovative and really putting clients first. What does that look like behind the scenes? Are there any tools, systems, or even philosophies your team uses to keep that standard of excellence high?
So, what makes your business grow is systems and structures, right? You can't, you know, there's so much you can do as a human. If you don't have a system going on, especially when you're growing and you have one or two or three people working with you, you need to put that in system. You know, something that, you know, they can, that can become a routine. And that's what I've done with my Realtor team. I have a book I'm reading right there. I don't know if it's Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller, Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And you need to read that book. You know, there's a lot of, it teaches on the way how you put structure in the real estate business. And that's what I'm working on, because I'm building up a large team at Realtor right now. And we're using CRMs. We're learning how to get leads from different platforms and then getting them. And this is one of the platforms, being on, you know, on social media, you know, podcasts. So we create that system that allows you to get leads, get them into the funnel, the CRM, and then, you know, nurture them until they become. And so I, as the lead, what I look at is make sure that the system works. And that's what I do every day. I look at the system, took it up. I one or two other people that we're always looking at systems. So apart from the system, our client is number one. Every day when I have meetings with my team, I tell them everything we want to do it's so competitive. So everything you want to do is add value. If you're not adding value to a client, there's no point, because every person has somebody in their family that is a realtor right now. So you need to know what you're doing. There must be something special before they can sign up a representative agreement with you. So one of those things is understanding what you're doing, the knowledge and the value you're going to bring to the table. So once I meet a client, I still go out to show house. I still showed house on Sunday. I got a call and I went there and I met them for the first time. Within an hour, the guy said, man, the wife said, well, we're going to use it because you're so knowledgeable. And that's the value, because I told them, I gave them solution as we're talking, and they were sold. So having a good knowledge and adding value to your clients is your selling point. It's not just about the money. You just need to bring something to the table. And so, you know, you need to add value to your clients. And that's what is most important. That's yourselves. You don't need to tell them you want money or anything. They see it when they know they are getting something from you and they pay for it. That's it basically. Plus the structure and the system is working.
Great. Femi, as both a builder and an investor who's sponsored and funded major real estate projects, what advice do you give to someone who's looking to get started in multifamily or income generating properties, especially when it comes to structuring and funding the deal?
Well, the way I started in the US was I went to real estate events and you learn a lot from the people there. You know, you network, you meet people that know, you know. It was very difficult for me at the beginning because I came into a place where, number one, I was new. I didn't know anybody. And so I had to build a network of people that knew things that are around. And I got a network of people that know different parts of real estate. So I wasn't dealing with one person. If I call you and you don't know this, I call you. I purposely went out to meet people. Sometimes when I call you, Pauline, I ask you a question. You might give me 20% of what I need. I call two or three other people and try to put together that information, you know, to make it whole. So your network helps a lot. They are the people that will take you there. If you surround yourself with the right set of people, you will learn a lot of things from them. Sometimes you want to find a mentor, but they don't want to be with you. I don't know what. A lot of time when I met people, when I start talking, they kind of feel that, oh, this guy's taking too much from me. So, you know, he's asking too much question. You know, he's so eager to know more. So people kind of move away. So I learned to have like a lot of people around me that has information. So at some point, I don't even ask a lot. If I have 10 questions to ask Pauline, I ask you only 3. So, you know, you're not going to think I'm asking too much questions. I get to the next question, I ask another 3 questions, you know. So, you know, you get information from network, from events. If you want to start real estate, go to events around you. There's a lot of them around you. Go start from there, network with the guys, ask them questions, ask them how they do whatever they're doing. Look for people that are not too far from you in terms of where the stage they are in wherever they are, and work with them, party with them. Well, so they what?
Before we wrap up, do you have any upcoming projects or announcements you'd like to share with our listeners? And where can people connect with you or learn more about your work or working with Roston Group? Please share your contact information with the audience.
I have a few projects going on. I have 2 subdivisions I'm about to start. But right now we're doing one of them we're doing the site work. The other one we're still waiting for approval and say in the next 6 months. And I have a big project I'm working on right now. I have 250 units to that hostel. I'm going to be working on with a couple of partners. It's in the very early stage, but it's a big dream and a retirement plan for me. And, you know, it was so hard structuring that deal. You know, it's something I'm looking at in the future as taking it to the next level. When I told my supervisor, this is what I want to do, it felt like, I mean, wow, that's a big one. But we're able to secure the lot we want to use. There are other partners. I don't really know them, but some other guys putting us together and we're still having meetings. We want to talk on how we're going to work together. But it's a big one. That's my dream project. What I feel is a new challenge because I've built subdivision a few times. So that's not a big thing for me. So I need something new. So that's it. My website is femirogers.com. You can reach me on my website. You can send me an email at femi@rostoninvestment.com. I have a podcast called Building Wealth with Femi.
Femi, thank you for sharing your journey, your wisdom, and your insights into the world of real estate, entrepreneurship, and building across borders. Your story is a powerful reminder that success is built not just through strategy, but through vision, resilience, and purpose. To our listeners, if today's conversation inspired you, don't let it stop here. Whether you're an aspiring investor, an entrepreneur looking to expand, or someone curious about international real estate, Femi is a wealth of knowledge and experience. Make sure to follow Femi Rogers and the Roston Group to stay updated on his latest projects and insights into real estate development, multifamily investments, and global business strategy. And if you haven't already, like, share, follow, and subscribe to the Pauline Chilton Show on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps us grow. It helps us continue bringing powerful conversations like this to your ears every week. Want to support the show even further? Visit thepaulineshow.com to donate or shop are handcrafted, all-natural products that fuel this mission and keep the mic on. Thank you for being here. Until next time, keep learning, keep building, and keep believing in the legacy you're creating. We'll see you next time on The Pauline Chilton Show.